the creation process is such a weird thing because you're going to put out music, you're going to put out specific things that you're going to hate. You're going to be so critical of.
Yeah, you're your worst critic.
But you got to keep doing it. Like, do it for yourself. Watch your growth, I think, is the biggest thing.
Hello everyone, this is Very Interesting People, an interview-style podcast where we sit down with talented independent creators to talk about their craft, share stories, and hopefully inspire you to get out there and create something yourself. I'm your host, Kiefer Campney, and with me today are Austin, Chelsea, and Tyler from FATED Sons. How's everyone doing today?
We're doing great.
Good.
Fantastic.
Crisp and clean.
We're missing one of the band members who's in Alberta right now.
Yes, he is. He's in Lake Louise, I think.
Yeah, Riley. He's the lead guitarist. But for those who are here and those who aren't familiar with your music, can you guys tell me about what FATED Sons is, what you all do?
Yeah, I'll start this one off, I guess. What do we all do? So we're basically just a rock band from Kelowna, BC. We have a couple singles out on the streaming platforms, and we've done a music video. We used to be kind of a cover band, and then we're a recovering cover band is what we call ourselves. So yeah, now we kind of do a mix of both, and we're just kind of working towards writing more and more originals and just kind of straying away from covers and kind of creating more of our own sound, I guess.
Awesome. So what instruments do each of you guys play?
So my name is Austin. I play the guitar. Guitar and bass. I do both, and I do lead vocals as well.
I'm Tyler. I play drums.
That's it.
That's it.
I just play drums.
There's not much else to say.
The drummer.
And I'm Chelsea. I sing backup vocals for the most part and keyboard. I play a lot of keys as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That she does.
So let's get back to the beginning. When did you guys form the band? What was the lineup? Is it the same lineup as it is today? Is it very different?
This is a loaded question. So Chelsea's going to start this one off.
That's a great question because we've been friends. We met actually through a music school that was in Kelowna. And we used to be a 7-piece way back in the day. So there was 2 lead vocalists, keyboard, 2 guitarists, bass, drummer. And throughout the years, we kind of just... People moved away, went to school, things started changing, and we went down from the 7 that we were to the 4 that we are now, and just moved from our cover band that we used to be called, The Hits.
The Hits,
our good old name.
Yeah, we used to play a bunch of 70s, 80s, 90s covers, The Hits, as the name became.
And we carry a few every now and then to a couple gigs that we still play now, but we're trying to get towards just playing originals and writing as much music as we can.
So that was what, 2012? We were talking about it? 2012 was when we started?
It was
end
of
2011, yeah. So we've been playing music for a long time.
With this current iteration, at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what was it like being in a 7-piece band? It seems a little difficult.
It's a lot, man. It's a lot.
I didn't think anything of it, honestly, because
that was the first band we've ever been in, yeah.
15, 16,
yeah,
whatever,
exactly.
so
we were young.
That's just the only...
Would you have to make up parts for specific songs so that everyone could play an instrument?
Yes.
Yeah,
I can say that for sure because a lot of the Beatles stuff that did not have keyboards or anything like that, it was suddenly like, okay, have fun. And it was kind of cool because it was the freedom of doing whatever you wanted to.
So what did you do back then? Did you mirror guitar lines, bass lines, or did you actually have... Because I don't remember personally.
It honestly depended on the song. Yeah. Because if it was like a heavily guitar riff that was already incorporated in the song, I just kind of patch and fill in the behind to fill out the sound. But if there wasn't really anything going on, I'd kind of have some fun noodling and playing around with it, which was good. So, yeah.
Awesome. So once you got the lineup all set up with the 4 of you guys that you are today, how'd you start the writing process and what's that been like?
So basically... I mean, for the songs that we have, a lot of them come from just noodling and jams. Yeah. Basically, Riley will just come with a fun little riff because he's super creative like that. And then it'll just evolve from there. Like one of the first songs we did a while ago with Katia, who was one of our singers before in the 7-piece. We did a song with her, Foul Play.
Yeah, that was the first song we ever wrote, actually.
Yeah. And it all just... Did that one come from like the hotel room or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wrote it in the hotel room.
Just a lot of noodling and
I feel like there's a story to that. You just don't normally write a song in a hotel room.
We went to Seattle to go see one of our liked bands.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands.
Tyler's favorite band, yeah. The Rain of Kindo, they're called. They're pretty good.
Kindo now.
Yeah. They lost the rain.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were staying in a hotel and we didn't really have much to do. So we were on Riley's Riley's phone, and I think he was on like what's that?
GarageBand.
Riley's
GarageBand.
notorious for
GarageBand
just
on his phone.
pulling out things and starting little riffs and
Yeah.
creating songs, and that's where it started. Was we were
Just writing like ridiculous
Yeah,
loops in there.
playing around with a loop.
As far as
Exactly,
it
yeah.
goes now, though, like he'll just bring something and then you guys will riff on it or whatever,
Yep.
and then I come up with my own part.
Yep.
Chelsea comes up with her own part.
Yeah.
And
then
then
vocals.
lyrics are always last. Yeah,
Yeah.
lyrics
Who
and
writes the
vocals.
lyrics?
Mostly me, but
Primarily
Riley's
you,
done
yeah.
a little bit too. He wrote this one song we have called 1974. It's like a bluegrass country song kind of.
Yeah.
And he wrote like all the lyrics for that. But most of the other ones were me.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you guys got a unique sound, and I'm guessing that's due in part to each of you having very different musical influences and inspirations.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go down the line and say what music inspires you, which artists, what genres of music you're into.
Yeah, I'll start. So me, mostly rock. I listened to like a lot of classic rock when I was younger, like Pink Floyd, Zeppelin, all that stuff. I had like massive binges. And now it's like a lot of country bluegrass too. So like basically that mixed with rock. And Riley's kind of the same way, I would say. He's actually like more of a bluegrass head than I am.
Mm-hmm.
That is more of a
Yeah.
recent evolution, though. 'cause,
Yeah.
You know, a lot of, well, look, I want to think of early Faded Sons, or 2 years ago, whatever it
Oh
was.
yeah.
A lot of Rival Sons.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to jam my stuff all the time.
I mean, he still listens to the grit stuff.
yeah, the
Yeah.
gritty rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's
Totally.
kind of it's an interesting subgenre. Hey, what about you?
I've always been into metal, growing up with drums. Just what's been interesting to me. I appreciate a lot of different music, except for some, like, not a big country fan personally.
Yeah.
But my main thing right now, my main love is progressive metal.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah, nice.
Contortionist, Periphery, all that kind of stuff.
It's like intricate stuff, right?
Yeah,
Intricate
technical,
intricacies,
but like
technical.
really like beautiful. And
Yeah.
beautiful.
it's really beautiful.
It is so beautiful.
It's super beautiful.
It's kind of crazy to think too, like throughout the years, you can't stay stagnant on a specific genre, I find, in music, because it's always progressing. It's always evolving into different things. Like I started piano when I was really young, liking classical, and I continued on. Then I got into a little bit of jazz, and then suddenly you have me getting into like progressive stuff. And then you guys have me getting into rock stuff, even though there's not much key stuff, but it
Yeah.
makes me interested to kind of
Yeah.
continue
Yeah.
that way. But yeah, I initially started with jazz and
Classical,
classical.
contemporary,
That's,
whatever.
Yeah, contemporary for sure.
Is that what you aim to bring to the band?
Especially with the sound, or at least the songs that we've written recently, I find that I'm trying to bring a little bit more, I don't know, I'm trying to get more interesting with progressive, because that's,
Yeah.
I find
That's
what
tough
are...
because we're playing rock music.
I
so it's
know,
hard to bring,
and I'm a
like,
classical artist.
stuff, right? Yeah.
So it's
But
like,
some
how
of the
do
chord
I...
progressions, like with Stuck Inside, like that ending chord progression is
Yeah.
like that was you came up with that.
Yeah,
that
Stuck
was
Inside
cool.
for sure was like all keyboard, dainty little
Yeah.
piano solo stuff that I like for sure. And then when we get into things like Virgin Caesar or
Vital Signs?
thank you, Vital Signs, you know, there is where I kind of run into that classical and jazz. You stop here. Where do you go from here when it comes to the more progressive stuff? And
Yeah.
it's kind of cool because that's the challenge for me. Is it brings me out of my comfort zone.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, I love how you can add all that, like for Stuck Inside, for example, like the ending, the outro of it is so nice, and
It
it's,
is,
it's
yeah. It's such a-
entirely possible because of the
Yeah.
the keys.
Yeah, we
right?
wouldn't be able to create that without the keys for sure.
True.
So that's that.
Sorry,
Yeah.
went on a tangent.
No, that's
but-
fine. That's totally fine. So you guys are an indie band, and Kelowna's not the smallest town ever. It's like over 100,000 people, but
Yeah.
still a small town to some. What's it
Yeah.
been like growing an independent band in a small town scene? The pros, the cons,
Yeah.
you know, the friends you made along the way.
I don't know. It's hard. I
There,
mean,
there's a good community.
yeah.
And it varies from genre to genre, but people, you know, they like to support their friends and
Yeah.
when they can. And the biggest con for Kelowna, at least, is the venues.
Yeah, lack of venues. Yeah.
There's a few bars downtown that are good, and they all
Yeah.
have, like, some have niche genres like metal and.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But generally, there's not a lot of like good halls, or the ones that existed before, like 10, 15 years ago, are being shut down. Like Knights of Columbus.
Yeah.
You said the Forum.
Yeah,
was a
we did.
jazz.
We did the last show at the Forum, but yeah, it was like a jazz venue. We did like a rock show there, and it was awesome,
was
super sweet.
fantastic.
It was you were there. It was awesome.
Aw.
And then they were like, yeah, we shut it down. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
so it's too bad. Yeah, it worked perfectly. The habitat's gone, so
Yeah.
that was a
They
big
used to do a
one.
lot of like shows in the Trinity Church too, like big shows
Really?
there, like but like early 2000s.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And it's just like venues like that just don't.
Yeah.
At least I don't hear of them.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like I would have if,
Yeah.
if they were still doing
It's
stuff.
true, yeah.
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 So
But-
I don't know. Go ahead.
Oh, when it comes to the actual community of music, though, like musicians, there's always people after we've played with musicians, either touring through Kelowna
Yeah.
or that are local. They always message us and be like, "Hey, we have a show coming up. You know, if you either want to tag along with us and
Yeah.
play with us, you know, like
Yeah.
the networking is amazing. There's so
Yeah.
many musicians here that just want to play, get to know each other,
Yes.
support each other.
Yeah.
Like I love that aspect about Kelowna for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the venue part is, I think, the
venue's
toughest.
The toughest for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I wonder if it's like that in other places.
Other
that,
cities,
like
yeah.
other not major cities.
Yeah,
right?
like-
Vancouver obviously has a lot of venues.
Like
But, I
like
mean, we're not
Vernon,
Vancouver.
Kamloops, or like
Yeah, maybe it's just
like
that.
smaller cities. Yeah, it might be. It's tough
Yeah.
to say.
I think the biggest problem is that they're actually like shutting down a lot of venues here as
Yeah.
opposed to
Mm.
growing.
Growing, yeah, bringing more through.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
ever thought about traveling to like closer cities, like not doing like a tour, but like traveling to another city for a show or things like that to try and branch out and
Yeah,
find
that's
some
like
better
one thing we
venues?
actually haven't done,
Yeah.
but
I
we
was
want
gonna
to.
ask. We never have we? Been
No.
outside Kelowna?
Faded Suns, no.
Not Faded Suns.
But
yeah.
when we used to play before
Mm.
as the hits, as like the 7-piece, well, I wouldn't go, but they went to Australia. And they went to Malaysia once too, right?
New York.
New
New
York, okay,
The
yeah.
We
other
were
band
going
went
to go to Malaysia.
We've gone around. We went to Nelson. We played in Nelson. That was
Yeah,
fun.
it's Selkirk?
yeah,
Nelson,
you're right.
BC at
Mhm.
Selkirk College.
Yeah.
We played.
Can we just take a step back? Malaysia?
We were
Oh, yeah.
going to. Yeah.
For what? Was it like someone's like really, really, really wanted you to play some covers over in Malaysia? Or?
Well, that was to do with the music school.
Yeah, we just kind of
Yeah.
he had a connection there that he wanted to. He said he had like it was a rock school thing. I think that
Mhm.
their rock school is like a program that was starting here, and then they also were doing it in Malaysia, and so they wanted us to like go there and like
Mhm.
kind of
Oh,
cross promote
yeah.
rock school. I think was what
That's
it
really
was.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
but it never ended up happening.
No.
That's how we got on with Australia. There was a vocal arts school there that also had
Yeah, there is.
a rock school, which was actual studies that people could do in music, get a grade, and be able to teach it and things like that. You could
Wow.
actually get a grade.
Like Royal Conservatory,
Yeah.
but for
Yeah.
not piano.
Totally. So
Though
we-
there's piano in it though in rock school.
There is.
Keys, right?
There is, absolutely. I'd love to do it. But and then same when we went to New York, we went and visited Norma Garbo, who was putting on like a vocal school kind of thing where we all had a week long session with her. So there was always something music related that our music person that we were in the school with actually had connections with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'd go on and do that. And then I don't know what connection we had in Malaysia, but that would have been a cool
Yeah, I
one.
don't
But
know.
Yeah.
Well, you guys played Rockwood in New York, didn't you? You
Yes.
played Rockwood. That's like a
yeah, we
that's
did.
like a well-known
That's
venue. That's
crazy.
pretty sick.
Is it? Yeah.
A couple
Yeah.
people passed through there, which was kind of cool to see. They had
Yeah.
bright red velvet walls that you were like stuck up on this little stage. It was quite a neat event. But
Yeah.
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 So, what can we expect from Faded Sons in the future? Are you gonna go back to New York, Australia,
No.
Malaysia tour,
No, it's
anything like?
expensive, man.
It'd be the dream, but it
For a
was
sponsor.
it was pretty
yeah, yeah. Shout out to any sponsors listening right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you
I-
have any plans for the future, like new music?
Yeah,
Or,
well, I think we've all kind of decided we want to, because we have a couple singles.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we have 3 singles. One of them is like, what's the beach song? It's like pop rock. I would say is really like
Well, beach
it's
rock
got
is
some
a genre.
It's
beach
like
rock.
soft.
Sure, beach rock.
Yeah.
That's a genre,
And then we have
yeah.
Stuck Inside, which is kind of like a like rock song, like prog rock almost, or maybe it has pop elements too. You know,
Mhm.
it's just kind of like a general like modern rock song. And then Vital Signs is like pretty much like hard rock. Like it's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
1974 is more kind of
And then
country.
1974
laid
is
back.
like a country.
We're all
so
over
it's-
the place.
Yeah, we do a lot of
Yeah.
different stuff.
Yeah.
But I think we're gonna try and focus in on like a heavy rock EP.
Mhm.
And that's gonna be like 4 or 5 songs. So we already have a couple. We have 2 songs already. So we're gonna write a couple more that we already have like ideas for them. So they're kind of in the works. But I think maybe like 4 to 6 songs. I don't know. We're gonna
Well,
see.
less than 6 for an EP for sure.
Okay,
4
yeah.
or 5. I'd say.
4 or 5, yeah. So, and that's our goal in the future for music-wise. And then we're kind of talking about doing like a spring tour maybe. So spring 2020, Faded Sons. Gonna do like
where'd you guys be turning around? Just across like the west coast of Canada?
Yeah.
Or like
Maybe just
Alberta,
places
BC?
close. Yeah, like maybe.
We could do Alberta. We haven't really planned those
Yeah,
kind of
it's,
things.
it's hard to know the music scene in Alberta. I don't know. I know BC is pretty good. Like if we can go, I know some connections in Vancouver. We can maybe make a couple shows happen there.
Kamloops.
Kamloops, Vernon.
Yeah.
We also have band connections, like in Vancouver at least.
Yep.
People that would like to hop on board if
Yeah, totally.
do
Yeah.
something.
Right. Yeah.
What would be really nice actually is if we could get a band that wants to do like a tour.
Yes,
So,
that would be so
you know
cool.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
and I'll hop on both.
Yeah, and then we'd ride together and we do shows together and we just do like we book the venues and we do one band. It's not even really opening. It's like both bands play for an hour and a half, and then that's the night. And we
Oh,
could do like
that'd be so
multiple
cool.
shows and do like a little mini
Where's your
tour.
where's your audience mostly from? Like outside of the local audiences, have you noticed any?
Um,
I've seen on your music video there's a "Come to Brazil."
yeah, somebody listened
Yeah,
to
that was kind of
the
out of
beach
nowhere.
song in Panama has been streamed. It's been streamed, Australia a couple times. Vital Signs actually is like a lot of it's from Canada. I think Kelowna is competing with Vancouver, which is pretty cool because
Really?
like we don't like. I mean, we have friends in Vancouver, sure, but like.
Yeah.
It's like heavily competing. Like they're very similar. Like
Mhm.
Kelowna and Vancouver are like tied for streams. So I thought that was interesting. And then there's just kind of other streams in other random cities across the world, just
Totally.
as there is with any streamable music, right?
You ever thought about? Well, can you guys legally go down and tour in places like? Because we're pretty close to Washington State. Like the border's about
Yeah, I
2
don't
hours
know.
away.
I don't know what the
Haven't done the research on that.
visa stuff
Visas,
is like.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Because if you're making money, then it's a different story, right? And you might have to do like a business license or like put it
Like a
under.
work visa or
I don't-
something.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be just a maximum amount
Yeah,
that
that's
we
true.
probably won't reach anyways.
No, there's
so-
no way. Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Real talk.
Yeah, true that. It's the life of musicians. It ain't easy.
But we do have people listening from like South California and like all over.
Yeah.
Which is
Oh yeah,
really
there's
kinda
some
cool.
streams in the States, which is
So-
cool. Yeah, it's interesting. You never know. It's like, who is this person, right?
Yeah.
And people on in the music video too. I mean, the music video is at like over 1,000 now. I think it's at like
Which is
like
big for us.
1,060
That's
or
so
exciting.
which is it's huge for us. So
Yeah.
and we have some comments from people that are, I'm assuming, not local because I don't know who they are, and just
Yeah.
be random people commenting like love this or whatever. So
And I mean, even then, you guys got like local CBC radio play on two of your
Yeah.
songs as well, which is pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, some
that-
local
that has
radio.
some reach.
it does
People hear
totally.
about
We were
that.
talking about it before, but like people have called my mom and been like, "Hey, like I just heard your son on the radio, like like Faded Sons." It's like that's so cool,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like people that I would have never expected, they're like just listening to CBC radio, and they're like, "Yeah, I heard it. Like that's so cool." So that helps.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
honestly thought it was only going to be played the one time when we were being featured. And I've heard people say later
yeah,
on,
it's
like, oh, it's actually,
recurring. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He
That's
plays
awesome.
the beach song.
Which is
Shout out
really
to
cool.
Josh Page,
Yeah.
CBC Kelowna.
Go, Josh.
Guy does good work.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah,
Thanks, Josh.
thanks,
Yeah.
Josh.
So, as we're kind of wrapping it up here, what advice do you guys have to other budding musicians or bands, like just coming up or some that are already established and trying to looking for like a little breakout into small
Kelowna
success,
bands or
moderate
just bands in
success?
general?
Just bands in general.
Bands in general, yeah.
It's all about who you know.
Yeah, it's
Just
a
make
networking
as
game.
many connections as you can.
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, don't be shitty,
Don't be shitty.
Don't be shitty. Like hold up your end of the bargain,
Yeah, yeah.
like don't try and like take more money from gigs because you're like headlining or something like that. You know what I mean? Like just be fair and reasonable with people and
Yeah.
It pays more to be friendly.
Yes.
Because then you get
Exactly.
other gigs and
Mhm.
keep the connections. It's always more worth it than like an extra $20 or $30 because you played for 20 more minutes than they did. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and we've like every band that we've played with, we've kept great connections with, like Road Waves.
Yeah.
These guys are freaking awesome.
Mhm.
from Ontario.
The Night Band. Yeah, they're from Ontario. The Night. The
The
Night
Night
Band.
Band.
Freaking
Yeah.
Riley screwed me up. The Night Band.
Yeah.
Where are they from? They're from.
Terrace, is it? It's not Oliver.
No, it's
it's
not
not
Oliver.
Oliver. It's
It's somewhere up north.
I think
BC.
it's. I feel like it was Terrace, but I might be wrong.
Smithers.
Smithers, you're
BC.
right, that's
yeah,
what it is.
Smithers,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
So we've got good contact with them
Mhm.
and a couple other bands that I'm forgetting right now. But yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Advice? What would you
I was
give
gonna
to
say-
somebody?
On more of a musician level, I would say that the creation process is such a weird thing because you're going to
Yeah.
put out music, you're going to put out specific things that you're going to hate. You're not going to like, you're going to be
Yeah,
so critical
internally,
of,
Yeah, you're your worst critic. Totally.
but you got to keep doing it. Like do it for yourself. Watch your growth, I think is the biggest thing. Like don't limit yourself because you don't like it. Because there's specific things that I've even proposed to the band where I'm like, I don't really like this. And the guys are like, no, just give it a chance.
Yeah.
Let it,
Yeah.
let it muster, let it just get out
Let
there.
it fizzle.
And people are like, oh, I actually like that. And
Mm-hmm.
something that I was so critical on myself about actually turned out a lot better than I expected. And
Yeah.
it's like, just don't hold yourself back. Let
Mm-hmm.
yourself create. Go through that process. Allow yourself to just let everything out.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, you have to sometimes think about it from somebody else's that doesn't know music, because a lot of people don't know
Yeah.
music. You know, like we're a small percentage. You have to think that like they don't hear it any way that you hear it at
No.
all. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
you always have to try and like step back when you're playing and just like recording your music is super important. I've learned. So even if you're just at home practicing, like playing, like just like record it with your phone and then like listen back. Like when you listen back, you will hear it so much different than when you were playing it in real time, kind of thing. And you can make adjustments and you can see like, is this like a piece of art or is this just like noise or what is this? But you can like start to analyze it and go from there.
It's like an audio journal. You can always
Yeah.
look back at your
Yeah, exactly.
past
yeah.
years, past works, etc.
So record people or record yourself, I guess would be a good
Yeah.
piece of advice. What about you, Ty? Drummers? Any advice to drummers?
Yeah, well, recording yourself. But
Buy a good snare.
buy a good snare.
Buy a good snare. Them
Snares
ghost
are
notes.
Don't cheat.
Don't hit the rim.
Well, just from like a growing band perspective, it's mainly if you want to like hustle, go out and meet a bunch of venue owners, make connections that way.
Yeah.
Other bands, meet like artists as well. Like, I mean, we got the boy Keith here.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
very lucky for that. But
Yeah.
for like videography, photography, that's important. That's just as important
Yeah.
for like media.
There's images is just as important as music. There's
Yeah.
actually it's like a forever debate with music. It's like what's more important, like your music or your image, right? And there's like lots of people that are super music and super image, and then there's in the middle, and like no one really knows. Everyone has an opinion on it, but there's no doubt that image is definitely important.
I mean,
Yeah.
in the social
Right.
media age, like it's super important because as soon as someone hears a band on like Spotify or on the radio or like
Yeah.
wherever they find their music, they're gonna go look them up and they're gonna see, they're gonna see the band, maybe look up live performances, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So making sure you have your social media and you're getting
Yeah.
out there and making sure like
Yeah.
if people really want more of your stuff, make sure they can go get it. Because I know
Yeah.
some bands I've followed where they just have their music up, they don't have a website, they don't have anywhere to buy
Yep.
it.
Yep.
And I'm like,
totally.
I want to buy your album. I don't want to have to
Yeah.
like somehow rip it off of Spotify. Like I'd love to buy
Yep.
your music, but
Totally, yeah. You have
gotta
to
get
give
there.
people a path. Like it's like you
Yeah.
can't have an idea or a product or something and just have it. It's like you need to also build the path for them to get there, right? And in this day and age, if it's not an easy path, then it's just not on to the next one.
yeah.
Whatever path is easiest, you know what I mean? So yeah, you're right. Like having all your stuff, cohesive and like available, ready, easy to purchase, easy to access, whatever. Super important.
I remember an actual instance of that when we were first coming together and like playing our first show, and somebody asked, they're like, "Oh, we like your music, like where can we get that?" And it's like, "Oh, we're working on our Facebook page,
I
we're
remember all
doing
sitting
this and
down.
that."
Oh
You
my
remember that?
to build it for
Literally
the first time.
right after
Oh.
that show, we all sat down. It's like, "Okay, so what do we need? We need
Yeah, we need
social
all these
media, we
things.
need Facebook, YouTube, all this stuff. Who wants to work on what?" And then, like instantly, I think within the next 2 nights, we had something up
Yeah.
and running, and people were still asking. But that I remember being like, "Oh, we don't have anything.
We
yet.
never had anything.
This is weird."
We went
For a long time.
we went to a little what was that? It was like a conference at Milk Crate, right? Me and
Yes.
you were there. I don't know if you
Yes.
were there.
That's what it was.
It was a conference, and it was like I don't know what it was for. Breakout West, I think it
was
was
Breakout
West,
West.
and so. And there was a lot of like interesting people there, and there was a lot of people there that had their ducks in a row. Like they were like,
business
Their
cards.
brand.
yeah,
Here,
Yeah.
let me
and
just
and
hand
we're
this
sitting
out.
there, and we don't even have a Facebook. Like holy, we're behind.
It opened our eyes, I think,
Yeah.
instantly. Yeah.
Yeah, and like when we released the beach song, I know like we had like 100 followers on Facebook, no Instagram.
Yeah.
And we just posted on our Facebook and said, "Hey guys, we're dropping a song tomorrow." And then the next day we dropped it, and it
Look
was
at
just
us.
we just dropped it to YouTube and Spotify, I guess. And
Yeah.
like it's like no shit, no one listened to it because like we just didn't know how to like promote and like just deliver the content properly, I guess.
We're still
right?
learning.
Yeah.
Well, we were learning totally, so
Well, we
yeah.
still are though. We're not.
Still are,
No
definitely.
means.
But we're way better now. We have an Instagram, we have a YouTube, we have a music video.
Yeah, I worked pretty hard with you on like the getting like a hype growing on your
Yeah,
social
we
media
did.
for
Yeah,
the music
you have to
video. 'cause
tease,
that
you have
was,
to-
like you look at like any big musician now, they'll just put like in the studio, and then like a week later, here's the new song, but like
Yeah.
just get people excited. And
You have
then-
to.
Little
do it.
teasers
Yeah.
go a long way.
That's something I'm super bad with. I've always said like just keep on posting like
Yeah.
new teasers. Like
Yeah.
I know you should do it and it's good to do it, but I just
Yeah, it's tough.
Just gets lost
Because
on
in
me,
your
dude.
own head, you're like, man, I'm posting too much. Like, I posted about this like 4 days ago. It's like, I probably shouldn't post again. But like, people consume so fast.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
true.
everyone's on their phone day and night, just like scrolling.
Yeah,
like,
you look
they
at
already
people going through
ingested
their
it.
feed and they're just going.
Yeah.
They probably
Yeah.
see
So
everything for like
fast.
half a second. So if you got 2 posts back to back, then you got a whole second of someone looking at your
And
stuff.
then you get a second of someone's attention to
Yeah.
actually like, like stop and
Yeah.
give it to you, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, that's pretty much wraps up the interview. And now is the time for you guys to promote yourselves.
Cool.
I mean, you've kind of dropped a little bit already, but yeah, tell
Yeah.
everyone where they can find you.
Well, you can definitely find us on Facebook, obviously.
Yes,
We've got our
Facebook.
Fated Sons Facebook page.
How
We
do you
also
spell
have
Fated Sons for the people that
it's
can't read the title?
FATED, and then sons as in the gentlemen that are
'Cause,
sons.
S-O-N-S.
SONS.
Sad admission, I actually thought when I first heard your band name, it was like FADED.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
faded. Yeah.
S-U-N-S.
Well, there's 4 renditions, right?
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's exactly what
faded.
we were going for. I was the one that kind of proposed the idea.
Yeah,
'cause
Chelsea actually came up with the name.
Yeah.
Nice.
The
So
irony of the
logo.
female and the
Yeah.
band going, let's be the sons. Let's do it.
For all the people that are like, why is it sons in
yeah.
the band if there's a girl?
Yeah.
Chelsea came up with it, all right?
I know. And it's basically what it is we came together so many years ago as friends, and we've been through so many ups and downs. I'll do the short version of this, but all these things that could have made us part ways for all the longest time that we've been together and stuff. You think of a fading sun or a faded sun, something like a dimming light, something that's going out, and I wanted to get away from that, be the faded. So something's keeping us together. Something's keeping us our drive going, and
There's a fate.
Would you call it?
For the
Yeah,
Sons.
call it fate.
so it
All the
is
sons have
fate.
fate somewhere, yes.
Yep. So that's why we are called Fated Sons.
Yes.
And we're on Instagram. We're on
Spotify, YouTube,
Spotify.
Apple Music, anywhere music is streamed, obviously.
Yeah.
Check out Vital Signs.
Yeah, check out our music video,
Yeah.
Vital Signs. It's at 1K. It's moving up.
Yeah, it's
it's
crazy.
actually it's a freaking sick video. It's the first video we've ever done,
So sick,
and it's
yeah.
awesome.
So
So
first,
and it was
the
direct.
first music video I ever did.
It was
actually.
directed and
Yeah.
edited by our own Kiefer Campney. So
Oh,
Yeah.
shout out to Big Keef, Chief Keef.
Chief Keef.
I think that's it. That's all our promotion, really.
everything.
We have a show on September 28th at Fernando's with a band
For
called
the
the
local.
Gentlemen's Club for the local listeners.
They're Alberta. They're Alberta,
They're
aren't they?
from, I think they're from Calgary or Medicine Hat or somewhere.
One of the bigger
I'm
cities.
somewhere
pretty
that
they're not
Alberta-
BC, so that's like our out of province
That's our other province.
connection.
Yeah.
right
There we
Wow.
go.
Yeah.
You know, Alberta tour coming soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alberta tour. Yeah.
That would be so fun. Oh my gosh. Any tour. We're working on something. We've been definitely talking about
Gonna
that
get a
though.
Fated
so-
Sons tour van set up.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, man.
So like a head nods.
Put the triangle on both sides.
Yes. Oh my god, I love that. That'd be
Just
so
black
fun.
it out.
Yep.
Yeah. Get some paint on there.
Yeah.
Get a
tinted
mini
windows.
fridge and a mattress in the back. You know,
Oh, yeah.
Gotta deck it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on, everybody.
Thank
It
you
was
so much
great.
for
Sadly,
having
we missed
us.
Riley, but he's been in here in spirit.
Yep. He's spending some time with the wife, so that's all good.
He's
Yeah.
doing that Alberta tour already for
Yeah,
us.
he's doing a little Alberta
Yeah.
tour of
Check it out.
himself.
Location
So.
scouting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Awesome. Well, guys, make sure to check out Fated Sons, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, YouTube. Give them some love. And thanks for listening. We'll talk to you later. Thank you all so much for listening. Hopefully, you take some time to check out our guests' Fated Sons. If you want more very interesting people, you can check us out on all the podcast platforms. That's iTunes, Google, Spotify, and Stitcher as Very Interesting People Podcast. You can also check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at The VIP Cast. If you want to support the show even further, you can head on over to patreon.com/KieferCampney to help fund this show as well as my other creative projects. Thanks again, and hopefully you stick around because there are plenty more interesting people coming your way.